Tarzan of the Apes by Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Bizarre Brain Comics. Hello, my comic book friends, and welcome to Bizarre Brain Comics. I'm Gary, your host. And this is where I like to take a look at some older comics, talk a little bit about the characters and creators, and examine the stories and the art. Oh! Yes, this is about Tarzan. Now, a little over a week or so ago, I did a video showing a bunch of Tarzan books, and I think one of those books, and I want to do a deep dive into that particular one, and it is Gold Keys, Tarzan of the Apes, number 206, featuring the comic adaptation of Tarzan and the Lion Man. And so, you know a little bit. A little bit of background on this. Okay, it's Gold Key, 1972. Actually, it was published in 71, but it was cover dated February 72. Written by Gaylord Dubois, with art by Paul Norris. Okay, and the Tarzan and the Lion Man is novel by Edgar Rice Burroughs is the 17th in the series of Tarzan novels, originally serialized in Liberty magazine in November 1932 and January of 34. I said 32. I meant in November of 33 and January of 34. And it satirizes the way the Tarzan character had been treated by Hollywood. Herb allegedly and understandably despised the Weissmuller-esque interpretation of the character as an illiterate and nearly non-verbal beast man. And there were, of course, other versions along those lines about the same time. Had one with Buster Crabbe, and last name was Morrison. He happened to be from they were both Olympic swimmers. The Morrison one, he happened to be from Fort Collins, just north of me here. And I enjoy all of them, even though I never liked that interpretation of Tarzan. and that's pretty much why when they changed producers in the late 50s, the movies made him more articulate and more like the books, all the way through to the current ones, with the exception of the remake of Tarzan the Ape Man. But of course, it made sense there because he had been lost in this was his first encounter with Western people, Europeans. Now, this was, as I said in my previous episode, this issue 206 is the very last Gold Key Tarzan issue. The next one, with the next number 207, was the first DC issue a few months later, done by Joe Kubert. But of course, now most of the Gold Key adaptations of Burroughs novels, with just a few exceptions, most of them were 2-issue adaptations, and they still usually had to leave out a lot of stuff from the book. And so this book, undoubtedly, it was coming up, and they knew it was going to be the last issue, so they really had to pare down. I mean, it's barely resemble. I really like this comic, but it's has very little of the actual story from the book, and there's so much more that they had to cut out because it had to compress it, do it in one issue. I think there's Tarzan of the Apes and The Return of Tarzan, and I know The Son of Tarzan, I think, were all one-issue adaptations, and they left a whole lot out, but got the bare outlines of the stories. May have been one or two others that were only one issues. After that, they were all two issues, so that they could fill it. And so this is an 18-page story to do that entire novel. And they, if they had, and they obviously knew it was going to be the last issue, they should have just left out the backup story, which Brothers of the Spear, which was a reprint story, and that was continued. They should have just left that out and added 4 more pages of this story, but they chose not to. But this goes to show that Gaylord Dubois was was able to craft a story very well, even though he had to leave so much of the story out. He still crafted this into a complete story, and a well crafted story, as you know, we'll see here. I'll move Tarzan's out of the way here. I'm gonna have to do an episode on Tarzan figures, or maybe on a live stream. Okay, cover painting by Gaylord Dubois. I love this cover. And what you can see, they're already compressing it, because normally it would have a splash panel here and then 2 smaller panels down here, and they start right off into it on the first page, right into the story. No splash panel here, but they did, only do it in four panels instead of the standard six panel grid. Tarzan, swinging through the jungle, hearing booming drums, gets to the village in question, sees a white man being tied up to a post where he is about to be tortured and killed, but he breaks loose and starts attacking his captors. And this is when we see that he looks just like Tarzan. And he's strong too, because just like Tarzan, he picks the guy up and tosses him. Then a rope comes, a noose comes down around the body of the chief, and he's whisked right up into the trees, really terrifying the other natives. And then he sees that it's another guy who looks just like him. And he says, "Free my other self, or I will slay you." And they let him go, and then pretty soon, he's gone. And Tarzan meets him out there. He learns that he is the actor Stanley Obrosky. Stanley Obrosky, and he is with a film crew, and they are filming a movie, a Tarzan-like movie of this guy who's boss of the jungle. He's the Lion Man, and he's the boss of the jungle. He was raised by lions, and here they come across the couple of lions, and see all the rest of them are the standard six panel grid pattern, with some exceptions, combining 2 of them, and and almost all the pages are like this: 6 or 4 and 1, or 1 and 4. And Stanley's mind is going a little bit here under all the strain, seeing this other guy who looks just like him and talking to the lions just like he's supposed to be able to do. Plus, this is when we find out that he's got a fever. He's got a jungle fever. So Tarzan takes him to a village that he knows where they can care for him. Then he starts backtracking Stanley, and he comes across this big old gorilla with a feather boy hat. And he goes, "Unk Bolgani Tarmangani Mu, Tarzan poor." He said, "Clear out, gorilla. The white she is Tarzan." He said, "Naked fool, dare you defy me, the Duke of Buckingham?" The gorilla says in perfect English, "Stanley, save me." Yeah, so Tarzan's taken aback by the fact that the ape is speaking English. But he goes right to it. Boom. They fight, and he quickly makes short work of the gorilla, frees the girl, and lets her think that he is Stanley Obrosky. and he backtracks then to where the production company's camp is supposed to be. He takes her there. The two of the producers are out there, and they have been looking for their actors because they had been attacked by that village of bad natives and snatched Stanley, and then the girls, the two female actresses had been snatched by the guerrillas as well, and so he backtracks that guerrilla and comes to a valley, and where he sees an English style village, and there are guerrillas working in the fields, going back to their homes, to their houses. And above it is a castle, but he sneaks into the castle, and here we see, someone sees him sneaking in. He gets in, and it was a trap. It's a trap! Yeah, the door slams shut behind him and locks. He can't get out, but he follows the scent of the perfume of the lady who is Rhonda. The other girl was Naomi. And she is trapped, and there we see the weird one. And there's, oh, Stanley, they've caught us both. Oh, I caught him, my dear. I, Reginald Carter Smythe, scientist extraordinary, and god of the gorillas who caught you. In fact, I created them. So, but you're not all human yourself, Smythe. No, this is when he reveals he's a mad scientist. He did some Frankensteinian stuff, some genetic stuff to the apes to make them more intelligent, which resulted in them being more intelligent. And he gave them all these English names. And he did this stuff on himself too, to prolong his life, rejuvenate him and make him younger, and but in the process it's made him apish. And he reveals that he killed the Duke. He literally ticks off the guy and leaves him there in the cell to rot. And he wants to use Tarzan's cells to really rejuvenate him and make him fully human again. He said, oh, how are we going to get out? Well, there happens to be this vent shaft going clear up to the top of the castle, and Tarzan goes up, gets his rope out, and they climb up, but they can't get out because of all the guards and stuff around there. It's reported to the mad scientist, and he gives them orders to build a fire in the cell, and because it'll smoke them out. Well, they stay there as long as they can. They finally have to jump out, and Tarzan lays into those gorilla guards, and the guy is just ecstatic at Tarzan's abilities. But he's laid low by a blow to the back of the head, as always seems to happen with Tarzan. But the idiot apes built too big a fire in that cell, and now the whole castle is being engulfed in flames, and everyone's panicking and running away. And in the process, the mad scientist his head is clunked, and he let's see. The girl takes off. She thinks Stanley's dead, or Tarzan is dead. He wakes up, finds the doctor dead from fractured skull, and then Tarzan gets out while the castle burns away. He follows the scent of the girl up to some reject mutants that Smythe had made, who living out here, and they've captured the girl. And Tarzan goes up against their leader, and is killed, and he is victorious there. But they're coming after him. They go in through a tunnel, into one of the caves, which has a little hole in the back. They get through there, and then he splocks it up, and he gets Rhonda safely back with the troop. But he slips out while she was there. And then she goes to go check on Stanley, who died from his fever, and they took the body to the white commissioner's office, and where he was. And when the movie makers get there, they find out that Stanley has died. It has his ring. Yeah, that's Stanley's ring, all right. It says he's died, and said, "Oh, it's his ring, poor Stanley. From what you girls have said, he would have made box office records as the Lion Man. He was truly that. Only a fever could have stopped strength like his." And that's the last panel of the last issue of Tarzan of the Apes from Gold Key Comics. And this is the only one, to my knowledge, that Paul Norris signed. And this is how, for years, I had been reading the stuff drawn by Paul Norris, and I didn't know his name because they didn't have creator credits. And then down here, it is now. Now it has, and I really like Paul Norris's work. At the time, I was not thrilled with him because I was too infatuated with Russ Manning's Tarzan, what little bit I had seen of it at that time, and I just didn't appreciate the draftsmanship, the skill, the visual storytelling. He was an excellent artist. Remember, Paul Norris was co-creator of Aquaman in the 40s, the original version of Aquaman in the 40s, and he was an artist on some Jungle Jim for a time. I can't remember if that was in the comic books or the comic strips, or both. I don't know. And he did a lot of work for Gold Key through the 60s and 70s. And of course, after Tarzan, they started the Jungle Twins, and he carried on doing those. Then it has the backup story of Brothers of the Spear. And I don't know this artist. It's not Russ Manning, and that's why I said it would. And it's continued, but they should have just left it. Now just a few years later, DC did the definitive version of comic adaptation of Tarzan and the Lion Man with Joe Kubert. And that, I say definitive because, well, it is. It's just like the book. There was so much that was cut out. And in here, they completely cut out the fact that Tarzan took Stanley's place and took the role of the Lion Man for Stanley, and he did, of course, all his own stunts, and he played the part, and also in the process, because it just briefly touched on those other mutants living out in the wild. They had, and there were so many more. It was a much longer part of the story, and of course Tarzan went to save Rhonda, but there was one female mutant who was basically physically totally human and had a human mind, but I don't know why she was there, but she was just wild, like Tarzan had grown up wild, and she befriended Rhonda and helped her. And when Tarzan, she had helped Tarzan get Rhonda, help Rhonda escape, and she went back and they to the film production company, and they even gave her a part in the movie. And she went back. She fell in love with one of the stars, and he fell in love with her. They went back to Hollywood and to make her a big star, and all of that is left out because all the other details. But you see it, you don't notice all of that missing here unless you know about it, because after it was years later before I read the novel, and then read the comic adaptation, and to see what all was missing, because Gaylord Dubois crafted the story so well that even though it's bare bones of the actual story, he did a great job. And imagine how well it could have been had he had the opportunity to do this as like the other book adaptations in a 2-issue format. Okay, so that is all I had to share with you this time with Tarzan and the Lion Man. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Oh, and before I forget, I want to. At this point, I'm planning on, I don't know for certain if I'm going to do it yet or not, but I'm planning on a live stream for should be the second Wednesday of February, which I think is the 12th. At live stream, it's about 6:15 p.m. Mountain Time, and I'm planning on doing talking about Tarzan of the comic strips. So I'll post something beforehand when I have when I know for sure. So thank you again, and join me then. And remember, comics are art.